we always want to blame the consumers because all they care about is price when it comes to insurance, but it's these insurance companies' fault because you turn on the TV and every other commercial is going to be State Farm, Farmers, Progressive, whatever. And all they talk about is come to us and we'll save you money. And so then that gets passed down to the consumers. They have the mindset of, I can't use my insurance because if I do, the price is going to go up and I have to keep my insurance low. And so we just kind of want to talk about that today. We'll give you guys some tips, tricks, let you know how all these different incidents on your insurance will affect you or will not affect you.
I have this talk, I'm not exaggerating, almost on a daily basis.
Wow.
And so I like this topic because I want people to understand that when we're paying premiums for coverage, it's to use it when something happens. And so don't be afraid to use it when something happens.
Do you agree with me? Are they concerned about price? Is that why they don't want to use their insurance? Or what do you think the main factor is?
By far, the number one factor is, well, I don't want it to affect my insurance rates. Every time, I don't want it to affect my insurance rates. And so that's when I talk about there are specific laws in Arizona that preclude your insurance from raising your rates if you are not at fault for the accident or substantially at fault for the accident. And so that's the biggest thing. The second is I'll get clients who say, well, it was his fault, so I want his insurance company to pay for it. Again, they will. When you go through your insurance, they're not going to want to pay for something that's not your fault. So they will seek reimbursement. They will subrogate to the at-fault insurance and they will get the money back. And so ultimately, it will be the other insurance company who pays for it. So just go through your own.
Just so everybody knows, if you have an at-fault accident, yes, your rates are going to go up. You're at fault, you're costing your insurance company money, your rates are going to go up. If you have MVD violations, your rates are going to go up. You're signaling to the insurance companies that you're a riskier driver because you're out there violating traffic laws. Comprehensive, your premiums can go up. They don't always with every carrier, they can go up, but it's not going to go up nearly as much as other at-fault claims. Not at fault accidents. In some states, they can still raise your rates. Arizona, California, and Colorado have laws, and there's probably other states, but in my research, I only found those three. They have laws where they cannot raise your rates for having a not at fault accident. This UIM, that stands for uninsured, underinsured. That is the same thing. If you file a claim under that, that means you are not at fault. In some states, they cannot raise your rates. Same thing for MedPay or PIP is what is in other states. If you are not at fault, they cannot raise your rates.
Because in Arizona, you can be partially at fault for an accident. There may be things that happen to where the other car is 80% at fault and you're 20%. Again, that's not substantially. Generally, what I've seen is that it's more than 50% is considered substantially. And so if you're not substantially at fault, they can't raise your rates. If you get a rate increase, you need to ask why. And if it does refer to anything about an accident to which you weren't substantially responsible for, you report that stuff to the Board of Insurance of Arizona. And those kind of things are what insurance companies want to avoid. Getting complaints with the Board of Insurance, you get enough of them, that can penalize them or may even cause them to withdraw from the state of issuing that insurance. The big companies like State Farm and Progressive, it's going to take a whole lot of that to make them withdraw or not be able to issue insurance here. But regardless, they don't want that on their record that those kind of things are happening.
And let's say somebody's watching and they're like, hey, I think this happened to me, but I just don't know who to contact. Is that something you can help people with, Chase?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who contacts us and has stuff like that, I know I can basically direct you to the right person to call to ask that information. And then kind of give you some of the keywords that there are to use to make sure that the insurance company doesn't take advantage of you. But what it ends up helping you as well is your insurance company, because they don't want to pay this money, they are going to seek subrogation or payment from the other insurance company. And so they will be pushing to show that the other car is at fault. And so when you get in an accident, you yourself will be pointing the finger at the other car. If you have a lawyer, your lawyer will be doing it. But then if you've got your insurance company who's repaired your vehicle and going after the other insurance saying, hey, our client's not at fault, pay us back. There you've got three people going to bat for you to say that I'm not at fault for this accident. And so it helps you in the claims process as well.
I want people to understand we don't want to use insurance for like, oh, my little kid barely brushed on my vehicle and there's $200 worth of damage. For that, we don't want to file unnecessary claims, right? But for actual claims, when it's bad enough to where you have to go talk to an attorney like Chase, when you have medical injuries, that's what insurance is for. Don't be afraid of your premiums going up because you pay for insurance to use it. You don't pay for it to like enter this contest where you just want to keep your premiums as low as possible for as long as possible. Here are my suggestions as an insurance broker. So the first one here is find a carrier with some type of accident forgiveness program, especially if you have young children on the policy. So if you have young children, guess what? They're probably going to be in an accident and it's probably going to be their fault, not the other person. So you're going to be worried about your rates going up. A lot of carriers offer accident forgiveness. It costs a little bit more. Here's another tip. When something happens where your rates are going up because of accidents or violations or whatever, you're probably going to be stuck with your current carrier because they don't weigh those accidents as much as if you go to a brand new carrier because you're already with that company. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll have an accident with this company, then I'll jump over to the next company and that incident won't appear. No, there's a database that all insurance companies dump into and they follow you around. A lot of times you get a speeding ticket and you're like, oh, I'll just pay it, it'll go away. If you do that, that's you admitting fault and that will show up on your motor vehicle record and it will affect your rates. However, on that ticket that you get in the mail, there will be the option to do driving school. It costs very much, I think it's almost identical to how much you would pay if you just paid the ticket. And then it's not going to show up on your record in effect. You're in an accident, it's not your fault. You don't run it through the at-fault party's insurance, you run it through your own insurance. As Chase explained, your insurance company, they have a higher duty of care to you. They're going to take care of you better than the other insurance company would. You may end up paying your deductible up front. And a lot of people, that's what they tell me. I don't want to go through my insurance company because I don't want to pay the deductible. You pay it up front once your insurance company is successful in subrogating and getting the money back from the other insurance company. They will refund you your deductible.
If you've been in an accident and it's, really bad to where your car isn't drivable, a lot of times your vehicle will get towed to a tow yard. And every day it's sitting in the tow yard, it's accruing fees. And so if you contact your insurance, they'll get it out immediately to avoid accruing the fees. But if you say, well, I'm going to reach out to the other person's insurance, they're going to say, well, we haven't accepted liability yet. We are allowed to investigate the loss and we need to contact our insured. Well, they may never get a hold of that person or they may just not work on it. And so 2, 3, 4 weeks can go by and nothing has happened. But if your vehicle is sitting there in the tow yard, it's accruing those daily rental charges or those daily charges of being in the yard. Mm-hmm. And so you want to get it withdrawn as quickly as possible, even if that means you paying some of it. If you've got the right coverage under your insurance, you'll get reimbursed. Or if you set it up through your insurance, they'll go get it and take it out for you. But one big concept within injury and property damage claims is mitigating your damages. You've got to do all that you can that's within your power to avoid those type of costs accruing. And so if you've got your insurance, get it out of that yard immediately so those charges don't continue to grow. And then your insurance company will start that process that much quicker. The insurance company for the at-fault driver, they will do everything they can to delay until they are basically forced to accept fault and to deal with it. And so if you go through your insurance, then that just takes away a whole slew of things that they can do to hammer you down and to make you not want to make a claim.
So your rates won't go up until your policy renews. So if you do have an accident that you're able to be surcharged for, it's not like the next day your insurance company is going to call you and be like, hey, you were in an accident yesterday, your rates are going up. They will not go up until your policy renews. And then the last thing, these incidents that they are able to charge you for, depending on the company, will stay on your record for 3 to 5 years and affect your premiums. Now, as the incident gets further in the past, they're not going to surcharge you as much, but they will stay on your record and affect your rate for that long. Most companies have moved to 5 years to hold it against you. There are only a handful that use the 3-year period. So that's really it. The whole point, I'll say it again, the purpose of insurance is to insure. Get the coverage that you need, get sufficient coverage, and then when the time comes where you need to use it, don't be afraid to use it. That's why it's there. That's why you pay it. Don't listen to these insurance companies that talk about price. that's just a race to the bottom. You don't want to have that mindset. You want to talk about coverage, 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 and then that coverage is there when you need it.